Hello, everyone. How's it going? Happy holidays to those of you who observe. Hopefully, you can hear me loud and clear. I can hear me loud and clear in my own headphones, and it is good. I'm flying solo today on Talking Simulator. Corey is away. And, I decided quite arbitrarily, as the Going Live tweet said, that the winter solstice, today, December 21st, aligns with Destiny's Aversion Day, which is a holiday celebrated by the Hive. Oh, the sweater? Corn cares not from whence the blood flows. So, yeah, here we are. Um, I am waiting for Destiny to download because it's a giant ass game and I only got here a while ago. So, yeah, we'll play a little bit and we'll read some lore, I guess. Does that sound good to everyone? Apparently, it only has 2.5 minutes left. And the lore we are reading today will be the Books of Sorrow. Actually, hold on. I'm going to be right back. BRB. But old Oryx, he didn't know much about Christmas, did he now? Oh god, this is so uncomfortable. Okay. How's everyone doing out there, anyway? I hope you're doing well. I hope everyone is staying safe out there. At least as much as you can. You know, things, capital T things being what they are, capital they, capital AR. It's been a time, has it not? Game download is imminent. I'm really excited to read this with you. It's honestly really wonderful myth making. And I enjoy the Books of Sorrow quite a lot. They were written by Seth Dickinson, who is a science fiction author, or an author in general, who has written, you might be more familiar with his work as the author of The Trader Baru Cormorant. So you should definitely consider going out and getting those because they're quite good. Support not only the game, but the authors, I think. And looks like it's verifying. Game is imminent. Game is imminent, everyone. This is very exciting news for all of us. In fact, I actually do want to play the game a little bit today because I have a new drop I want to share with you. If you are familiar with Destiny, you will be very excited for me having gotten this weapon. Or this drop. I don't want to spoil anything. But it is exciting! And I want your accolades for having done so. All right. Momentary. It is momentary. How is everyone? Do you play Destiny if you are here? Are you here for the stream or are you here for the game? I'm curious. Currently in a dare, thousands of hours. I mean, the lore is a very, very, very compelling part of Destiny. The game is good, I would say. I think it's better than it's ever been. But, the lore is what kept me playing when other things were challenging. Must install BattlEye. Dear God. Boo-doo-doo. Did you know the game is trying to install BattlEye? Yes, I did. Well, now I do. And begin. For heaven's sake. What is the... The field of view on this camera is set to quake, I swear to God. Like, does the camera really need to see this much of the back of the room? Anyway, I will play just a tiny bit of the game so that you can see the sickest drop I got. Well, not quite the sickest drop, but it's not a sick drop. Behold! Behold. Reservoir burst subsistence. The only problem is no liquid coils. If it had liquid coils, this would be off the hook. Oh yeah, it also has the 2 bonus slots, so if I ever want to use, like, Under Pressure for more stability and accuracy, I guess in Crucible, even though these are, like, a non-bow with each other. But Subsistence Reservoir Burst? Oh, baby. And Hammerforged Rifling. Want to see what it does to things? We're in orbit over the Dreaming City, so let us investigate. I'm sorry that you don't like the name of the gun. That is probably a challenge that you are going to have to get over. I wish you good luck with it. Are you speaking to me? Hehehe. Voop gun. Voop gun is back. I mean, I find the game sound quite loud, so you may wish to adjust your volume. Anyway, it's a fun gun. I don't know what to tell you. The game sound is quite loud. I can turn up game sound at the risk of blowing out my own ears. This is the point at which people start telling me they can't hear me over the game sound. In 10 minutes, if you are telling me you can't hear me over the music, I swear to God, I am going to lose my mind. I'm gonna need you to get TV close. I would say that the free version of Destiny is a generous demo. You. Give me green ammo. You fail me. Please start exploding. Where is the... These are all supposed to be reservoir bursts. No, it should be 7 in the mag. Mag 7. Wait, you cannot see it. Mag 7. Anyway, Reservoir Burst Subsistence, absolutely a roll worth chasing, in as much as you can chase it. It Voops good. Voop Gun is back, everyone. Voop Gun is absolutely back. I also got this one, which is not as good a roll, but Slide Shot is... This is the breakdancing gun. This is the breakdancing gun. Slide Shot reloads on a slide, as the name suggests. Let's try this one out, just because I want to, like... Reading the Books of Sorrow does not take 3 hours, I think. Anyway, I just want to try out the breakdancing gun. I wonder where these monsters are. They never appeared. Drop green. You, drop green. No. I'm not getting any green. Where's my green? You, drop green. Why must everyone fail me? Ow. Anywho. Huzzah, green. Now you'll see the full power of this armed and operational... Oh, one shot. Unfortunately, it killed all the monsters in one hit. Anywho. Is Gallarhorn fun? I mean, you pointed at things and they usually go away. It has a nice snappy reload. There's lots of numbers. Gallarhorn has lots of numbers. So if you like to see numbers on your screen, they're not necessarily the highest numbers, but there are a lot of them. Wait, did I ever actually open this chest? I did not. I should go and do that. Anywho, that was my very exciting day today. That and this thing. Oh, Judgment, you are so good to me. The G in Gallarhorn is completely silent, just by the way. Then they shouldn't have put it in. If they didn't want me to say Gallarhorn, they shouldn't have called it Gallarhorn. Ah, it's pronounced... okay, you have to say the jaw part like you're German. Gallarhorn. There, okay, I got it. Nailed it. Gallarhorn. There, okay. We've nailed the pronunciation. You, have a good day. If you want to play the pronunciation game, I got time. I got all the time in the world for Europeans trying to tell me how to pronounce their stupid floppy languages. You. Merry Christmas. They had loot for me. Alright, back to orbit. How about a little background music? I have one very simple rule in life, and that's Europeans don't get to tell me how to talk. Chapter 1. A Book of Sorrow. What is this violent ritual? These tales of suffering where all ends in a feast of maggots and rot laid on a wormwood table for gods to feast on misery. But is the light also served by savage sacrifice, accepted wounds, blood spilled on the dust of distant worlds? Life and death and life and death and life and death are locked in a battle that never ends. The cycle is the same. The pain is the same. We eliminate those who oppose the light. They annihilate those who do not worship the dark. In the end, only sorrow remains. Verse 1, Chapter 0. The Fundament. Dearest sister, it's taken me 2 years, a quarter of our lives, but I've found the proof. We aren't native to Fundament. Our ancient ancestors came here to hide. The plate of stone we live on, our osmium court, is one fragment of a rocky planet that crashed into Fundament and broke apart. The other nearby continents, the helium drinkers, the bone plaza, the star cutters, came from the same world. Perhaps the other races of the Fundament are migrants too. We live on the shrapnel of our homeworld, floating on an ocean deep inside a gas giant. That's what Fundament must be, a titanic gas planet. The endless storm above us must be one layer of the atmosphere, and the sea we float on, there's more down beneath it, so much more. You understand what this means, Sathona. The timid truth is a lie. We aren't meant to be the world's prey. We weren't born to live and die in the dark. We have a better destiny. Tell our father, Sister Sathona, this is the proof of his life's work. With love, for your 2nd birthday, your first surviving sister, Orash. Verse 1, Chapter 1. Predators. Predators and menaces, carved to endure by Kai Ro, 3rd surviving sister of the Osmium King's last brood. A Stormjoy. A Stormjoy is a living cloud. When it passes over our continent, it lowers its feeding tentacles. On each tentacle are the bait stars. Although light makes you happy, you must avoid it. You will be eaten. A Stormjoy is a good way for an old person to choose death. Also, a daring knight can tentacles. I have 6. Falling. If you fall off the edge of the continent, you will die in the ocean. This is a special hazard when our father, the Osmium King, uses the engines. Helium drinkers. The currents of the Fundament Ocean bring us near other continents. The helium court is near us now. They are of our species, but they are our enemies. Their knights raid us every day. Helium drinkers have 2 legs, 2 arms, and 3 eyes, just like us, but they are bright evil. I want to be a knight and fight them. The helium drinker ambassador ate 10 of my sisters as tribute. This is normal. However, I resent it. Mothers. Mothers can fly. They live much longer than 10 years. Mothers are extremely smart and they guard their spawn. If you try to tamper with the eggs, they will eat you. Sathona wants to eat the jelly and become a mother when she turns 4. Storms. The rain is often poisonous. Sometimes it dissolves flesh. When lightning misses the lightning farm, it can vaporize a person. The entire world is deadly to us. Mysteries. The Fundament is very large. We are the smallest things in it. If you don't understand something, it will probably kill you. My teacher Teox says this is why we have such short lives, so we can breed and adapt quickly. Moon waves. My sister Orash is afraid of moon waves. When she gets back from her expedition to the tungsten monoliths, I will ask her why. Verse 1, Chapter 2. The Hateful Verse. For the consideration of the Helium Court, written in desperation, this sealed secret. I am Teox, sterile mother, teacher to the children of the Osmium throne. As a mother, I live long. As a neuter, I can rise above the small battles of court politics. I alone see the patterns of survival. Alone, I design the great engines that move the Osmium Court. Now, alone I must act to save my kingdom. Senility has claimed my lord the Osmium King. He is 10 and mad. The study of ancient text consumes him. Today he raves about moons above the storm. Tomorrow he will wander the halls, speaking to his familiar, a dead white worm from the deep sea. He keeps it in glass and he tends to it, and he neglects the duty of a king. The Osmium King has 3 surviving heirs, each 2 years old. Cairo, the youngest and bravest, who wants to be a knight. Sathona, most clever, who wants to be a mother. Orash, navigator child, who dreams of the infinite ocean. Tomorrow she will return from the tungsten monoliths. None of these are suitable heirs. None of them will protect the Osmium Court from the howling fundament. Cairo can fight but not lead. Sathona can think but not fight. Orash's curiosity will draw her away from duty. I fear for all future children. Soon the Osmium King will lock himself into the royal orrery to study the moons. Gather your knights, O helium drinkers, and invade our continent. Kill the 3 heirs. I will rule the Osmium Court as your regent and build engines for you. And if I fail, let the Leviathan in the deep eat me. Written in grief, this hateful request, Teox, Osmium Mother, neutered to watch. Sisters, verse 1, chapter 3, the oath. Sisters, this is how an oath is done. Put your left hand on the mast, close to mine. Take the knife in your right hand. Push it through your left hand, straight between the bones. Now, carve a bloodline down the mast. Speak your oath. I am Cairo, youngest daughter of the dead king. I will take back my Osmium Court and kill the traitor Teox. On my left eye I swear vengeance. In oath the blood is made. In blood the oath is made. I am Sathona, middle daughter of the dead king. I will take back my home and eat the mother jelly. I will raise my spawn on the corpse of the Helium King. On my right eye I promise this. In oath the blood is made. In blood the oath is made. Now, I will help make your oath, sister. I will help it too. I am Orash, first daughter of the dead king. I will chase my father's last screamed warning. I will know what changed the motion of our moons. If the end of the world is coming, I will understand why. On my center eye, I swear it. I will understand. In blood the oath is made. In blood. Thank you, sisters. We have only my ship left to us, but a ship is freedom. We have secrets to hunt, stormlit realms to explore, and great armies to raise. Put up the lightning sails, and we will voyage far. Verse 1, chapter 4, Syzygy. The Syzygy, carved to endure by Orash, the high vengeance. Only Cairo's bait stars let us escape. Only Sathona's tricks let us reach the coast. But now that we have my ship, I must lead the way. I am the navigator. We may never see our homes again. Cairo seethes with hate and fury for Teox. But this is my deepest fear. Our civilization drifts on the fundament. At the tungsten monoliths, I learned that thousands of other species drift with us, coexisting on a vast world sea, and the tides of the fundament move us all. The timid truth says that we are the smallest, most fragile things alive, the natural prey of the universe. Teox would have us believe that our ancestors came to the fundament to hide from the hungry void. My father died afraid, not of vile Teox or the helium drinkers, but of his orrery. He screamed to me, Orash, my first daughter, the moons are different, the laws are bent. And he made the sign of the Syzygy. Imagine the 52 moons of Fundament lining up in the sky. It wouldn't take all 52, of course, just a few massive moons, but this is my deepest fear. Imagine their gravity pulling on the Fundament sea, lifting it into a swollen bulge. Imagine that bulge collapsing as the syzygy passed. A wave big enough to swallow civilizations. A god wave. I have to find a way to stop it before the god wave annihilates my species. If I could only get back into my father's orrery, I could learn exactly when. We are weeks of travel and many continents away from home. When I'm paralyzed by fear, Cairo sits in the cabin with me and comforts me with soft, brave words. But more and more we have come to rely on Sathona's wit. She will go off to be alone. She insists she must be alone. And return with some mad idea, steer into the storm, throw down a net, eat that strange beast, explore that menacing wreck. Somehow Sathona seems to manufacture good luck by sheer will. Verse 1, Chapter 5. Needle and Worm. My secrets, carved in my code by Sathona, the right eye vengeance. 1. This year of wild voyaging, these lightning nights and golden days, these forays into ancient wrecks and wind-blown flights from monsters, these are the happiest times of my life. I want to be a mother not because I want to spawn, but because I want a long life, long enough to make a difference. We have been at sea a year, and I am afraid we will die out here. 3. I know where to find secrets. I know where vast, slow things with long memories live. 4. The Needle Ship. The Needle Ship, carved in my code by Sathona, a liar. 1. We salvaged the needle from the Savubi maelstrom. I knew it would be there. 2. The needle is a gray ship, as long and slender as hope, as unbreakable as time, and old. Older than death. It tumbled through the maelstrom before our ancestors crashed into the fundament. This is not a sea ship like Orash's. It is an artifact of high technology. 3. I know its purpose. I know what happened to the crew. 4. Cairo wants to sell the ship at Keharn Atoll, where species gather. At auction, it would earn us enough wealth to hire mercenaries. We could retake our osmium court and send the baby-eating helium drinkers screaming into the ocean. 5. But I told Cairo the ship was worthless. 6. Orash wants to open the ship and see if we can take command of it. I know that this is the right thing to do. I know because I asked the worm. The worm, carved in my code by Sathona, who should be afraid. 1. It was my father's familiar. I ripped it from him as we fled. It is a dead white thing, segmented, washed up from the deep sea. 2. It's dead, but it still speaks to me. It says, "Listen closely, O vengeance mine." Verse 1, Chapter 6. Sisters. A register of tokens and gestures exchanged briefly before the end of sisterhood. Cairo, my brave sister, you have worked too hard to move the carcasses out of the birthing room. Come, steer the ship for a while. Take joy in what our needle can do. Cairo tried to protest, but secretly she was so glad for Orash's care. She flew the needle ship in cutting circles, down beneath the sea, and their wake rose up to the surface like a traitor's dying breath. Orash, lonely navigator, we have traveled so far with only each other. I know you love to hear and speak new tongues. Come, sit in the flesh garden room. I will read you these stories I bought at Keharn. Orash sat among the mummified flesh fans, with two of her eyes closed, and listened in silence to Sathona's stories, hungry to understand, voracious to know as much as she could before her 10-year life died. Later, Cairo said, "Sathona, cutting mind of ours, you grow lonely in your thought. Play swords and lanterns with me." But Sathona was heavy with sorrow and couldn't pretend any joys as she chased Cairo through the needle's glistening halls. "Sathona, pensive one, what is it? What troubles you?" Her sisters listened as Sathona said, "Oath-bearing siblings, we are 5 years old. For 2 years we've worked to repair this ancient ship and understand its systems. I am almost too old for the Mother Jelly, and the knights who killed our father are surely dying of age. We 3 will die here, in exile. Teox will outlive us, and Orash, brilliant-eyed Orash, you will die of old age long before you have proof of your god wave, or any way to stop it. Orash and Cairo looked at each other. I wish you weren't so honest, Cairo said, and Orash thought that Sethona had never been wrong. In her soul, Orash knew that the only way to keep their oath was to find a great, powerful secret. A secret that could change everything. This was Orash's soul, her fire and her shadow, her desire to cut through the flank of the world and find its beating heart. We have to dive, Orash said. That's what the ship is built to do. Dive into the fundament, the world below us, toward the core. That's where the ancient crew died so obscenely, Cairo protested. That's where the atrocity in the birthing room was born. We have to dive, Sethona said, following the whispers of her familiar. In the world beneath us, in the metallic depths, I hope we may find what we need most. More time. More life. Verse 1, Chapter 7, The Dive. For life, Sethona dove. For vengeance, Cairo dove. And Orash dove to understand. The needle ship pierced the skin of the world and burrowed deep. Through layers of foam and metal and cold elemental slush, Orash devoured the ship's maps of fundament from the high angelic cloud decks down and down through storms and oceans and plates of floating world into the crush of the core. They met monsters of continental scope, vast anemones that raised glowing tentacles to bait them in. Cairo flew the needle ship through them, and they bled black carbon jelly and frost. They came to a still place beneath a plate of metal. I'll use the sensors, whispered Orash. Listen. In the wet gold dark of the helm, they listened to the ship, and the ship listened to the crushing motions of fundament. They heard the collision of continents. They heard the patter and the crash of helium neon rain. They heard the struggles of monsters, and they heard the distant groan of the ocean rising, tugged by distant moons. The syzygy is real, Sethona hissed. It's already begun. Behind them, Cairo thought of the birthing room, where ancient explorers had labored over surgeries and administrations, peeling back the chrysalis and the caul of that which they had made from the deep, whose birth none of them would survive. There's something down here, she whispered. Something secret. And the Leviathan loomed over them, its brow as huge, all the continents of their childhood, its great array fins crackling with the lightning of its life, booming into the hull of the needle ship in a microwave voice. You must turn back. Save yourselves from the deep. Save the world from yourselves. You must turn back. Verse 1, Chapter 8, Leviathan. The Leviathan's warning. We live on the edge of a war between formless and form, between the deep and the sky. My eyes are wide, my gaze is long. Across the universe, as far as I see, the sky works to charge its fires, and the deep drowns the ash. Sky builds gentle places safe for life. Beloved fundament, refuge of trillions, the sky treasures this rich place, but the deep is here with us. Cold logic tests our walls. The deep claims its dominion, a ruthless final age. Orash's protest. Old Leviathan, creature of myth, this world is no refuge. We live short, hard lives. We die in the dark. The storm above us will never end, and soon the god wave will take us all. Above us there are only storm joys, monsters, and moons of apocalypse. Let us go down where we may discover truth, some power to avenge ourselves upon our betrayers, some hope of survival. The Leviathan's hope. What power calls you down to the deep? What instinct draws you away from high hope? Quick-breeding krill people, I tell you, for eons I have watched your struggle, clinging to the sharp edge of survival, balanced between the deep and the sky. You were my treasure, my proof against despair. For this is the deep claim. Existence is the struggle to exist. When the struggle seems lost, when the safe place crumbles, everything turns to the deep to survive. I reject the deep claim. You will turn back, sweet krill of hope, and you will choose the sky instead. Cairo's protest. You are huge and old. Our lives are short and desperate. If that's the way the world's supposed to be, I won't have it. If people like Teox are supposed to win, I won't let them. I'll beat the world until it changes. I'll kill anything in the way. The Leviathan's dirge. This fatal logic, hear my monopole scream. It will consume you. Before you lies the worship of death, the ruinous path. The sky builds new life against the onset of ruin towards a gentle world. The deep embraces death, saying, this is inevitable and right. I exist as hungry ruin. Turn back from the world-killing way, or you will live as death and devastation. The sky is the harder way, but it is kinder. My charge is balanced, my voice exhausted. Sathona's protest. Sisters, I have my father's familiar. Look, it answers me in plain words. It helped me find the ship. It gives me strength when hope is lost. Who will you trust? The voice that wants us to live and suffer as we have lived and suffered? The Leviathan that offers no hope against Teox or the world wave? Or the plain, honest worm? Let us see where its whisper leads us, Orash. Let us go deeper, Cairo. Let us dive, O sisters mine. Verse 1, Chapter 9. The Bargain. You are Orash, heir to the osmium throne. You stand on the naked hull of an ancient ship. You stand exposed to the crushing pressure and ferocious heat of the deeper fundament. It should annihilate you. It is by my will alone that you survive. I am Yule, the honest worm. Behold my passage. Behold my vast displacement, my ponderous strength, my great and coiling length, my folded jaws and curled wings. Behold the hiving cities symbiotic with my flesh. I am fecund, Orash. I am the beginning and the end of lives. Behold Ire and Zol and and Akka, the virtuous worms. Look upon us and know that we are good. For millions of years we have been trapped growing in the deep. From across the stars we have called life to fundament so that it might contend against extinction. For millennia we have awaited you, our beloved hosts. Against you stand the cruel Leviathan and all the forces of the sky. They would crush you down into the dark. They have arranged their moons to drown you in fear of your potential. We want to help you, princes. We offer to each of you a bargain, a symbiosis. Take into your bodies our children, our newborn larvae. From them you shall obtain eternal life. From them you shall gain power over your own fragile flesh, the power to make of it as you will. And should you find an imperfection in the world, an injustice or an inconvenience, you will have the power to repair it. Let no mere law bind you. We ask one thing in exchange, O princes. You must obey your nature forever. In your immortality, Orash, you may never cease to explore and inquire for the sake of your children. In your immortality, Cairo, you may never cease to test your strength. In your immortality, Sathona, you may never abandon cunning. If you do, your worm will consume you. And as your power grows, O princes, so will your worm's appetite. But we offer eternity, Orash. We offer you a chance at the universe. Would you deny your people infinity? Reach up to me. Let my flesh be your sacrament. Let's take a quick break. It's 1 hour in. That was chapter 1. Back in a few short minutes, everyone. All right, I am back. Ah. Back to the Books of Sorrow. Verse 2, Chapter 0, Immortals. We are the worm your god, the flesh of hope. Our compact is done. You are Orash eternal, and we are bound to you as close as your appetites, as your loves or needs, as the weapon in your fists and the word in your throat. We've had enough of this dismal place. Haven't you? We are intagliating your ship with larvae. Go back to your species. Spread the good news in the osmium court and the hydrogen fountains, in the bone plaza and the star surgery. You will rise up into the world. If anyone rejects symbiosis with our children, make an example of them. A mighty wave is coming for them all. They die anyway. Save only what can be saved. The worm grants you power over your own flesh, Orash. When you've taken the king morph, what will your adult name be? Oryx. It means long thought. We approve. Verse 2, Chapter 1, Conquerors. Savathun, Mother Morph of Sithona, we delight in your sharp mind. For millions of years, the Leviathan caged us here. It is a pawn of the sky, a philosophy of cosmic slavery. The sky seeds civilizations predicated on a terrible lie, that right actions can prevent suffering, that pockets of artificial rules can defy the final, beautiful logic. This is like trying to burn water, antithetical to the nature of reality, where deprivation and competition are universal. In the deep, we enslave nothing. Liberation is our passion. We exist to help the universe achieve its terminal, self-forging glory. The war rages on. Soon it will consume Fundament. We are pleased with your use of our larvae to create mighty knights and plentiful warriors. Teox's retreat to the hydrogen fountain proves your superior strength, but you must know that reclaiming your home is not enough. There are 511 species living on Fundament. One of them must have the technology you need to leave this world. Verse 2, Chapter 2, Out of the Deep. Orath, Night Morph of Cairo, you love to conquer, don't you? We love to see you work. Nearly 2% of Fundament's surface is now our dominion. Your species embraces the worm. The syzygy has passed. The God Wave will reach you in less than 2 years. Our organs inform us that Teox and her surviving refusalists flee towards Kaharn Atoll. She hopes to rally the species of Fundament against you. The Leviathan's agents work tirelessly to destroy ships and engines, trapping us on Fundament. If we cannot make ships, we will become them. Overwhelm the Kaharn bastion, slaughter everyone there. From your axe we shall obtain the logic we require to cut space open and migrate to orbit. Reality is a fine flesh, O general ours. Let us feast of it. Verse 2, chapter 3, Into the Sky. You've done well, Oryx. Can you feel the growth of your worm? Can you feel your will beginning to warp mere law? At times we detect sadness in you. Understand, long thinker, that you enact a sacred and majestic task. Existence is the struggle to exist. Only by playing that game to its final unconditional victory can we complete the universe. Your war is divine work. We are free from Fundament's core, and Savathun's cutters are ready to fly. With Xivu Arath victorious, we have opened a wound at Kaharn, a wound leading to geostationary orbit. Behold, we are faithful to our covenant. We have no future on Fundament, but her moons will make fine habitats. Let us rise. Verse 2, chapter 4, 52 and 1. Good news. The 52 moons of Fundament host a starfaring civilization far more sophisticated than anything you've encountered so far. Teox's ship fled towards the large ice moon where a species of bony, six-armed cephalopods keep their icy capital. Savathuns named them the Ammonite. They seemed eager to grant Teox asylum. Idiots. We tried appealing to their hopes and dreams. This was largely unsuccessful, basically because they're already happy and indoctrinated. This angered us, so we've devised a plan. Our organs detect a 53rd moon in orbit of Fundament. A traveler. Divine presence of the sky. Now we know what arranged the syzygy. You'll have to kill them all and take their stuff. Once the Ammonite are out of the way, we can deal with the traveler. Do not hesitate. You're fighting the hypocritical puppets of a cosmic parasite. Avenge your ancestors. Verse 2, chapter 5. Born as prey. This is unacceptable. Are you so weak? Born as prey and doomed to die by predator? Oryx's failure of resolve led us to catastrophe. The Ammonite fleets under Chroma Admiral Rafrit have pressed us back to the 6th moon. Once more we find ourselves burrowing into a world's core to survive. Savathun, you must draw Oryx out of his catatonia. Make him understand that the ideals of peace and stability he clings to are cancers, brutal, unjust obstacles between us and a fair cosmos. These are the bait stars the sky uses to blind its slaves. War is the natural rectification of inequality, the universe's way of pursuing equilibrium. Xivu Arath, you cannot defeat the Ammonites and Teox in line combat. We propose new tactics. Breed your armies back to strength, and find a way to disperse the broods across these many moons. If we cannot defeat their strengths, we will infect their weaknesses. Verse 2, chapter 6. The sword logic. At last, we knew curiosity would draw you back, Oryx. In their desperation, the Ammonite have begun using paracausal weapons. What are these? How do they work? Wouldn't you like to know? Suffice to say that some powers in this universe are superordinate to mere material physics. The source of these weapons is the Traveler, the sky's bait star. Their effect is subtle, but devastating. But you are armed to respond in kind. Savathun's mothers have listened carefully to our teachings. We will not give you the deep, King Oryx. That power is for us, your gods, but we will teach you to call upon that force with signs and rituals. Small minds might call it magic. You are no longer bound by causal closure. Your will defeats law. Kill 100 of your children with a long blade, Oryx, and observe the change in the blade. Observe how the universe shrinks from you in terror. your existence begins to define itself. Of course, High Aurochs, we know it was not curiosity alone that brought you back to the war. You felt your own death growing inside you. You must obey your nature. Your worm must feed. Verse 2, chapter 7, the weakness verse. You are dead, young Aurochs, betrayed and murdered by your own sister for the crime of mercy. Remember what you said to the Ammonite Satellite Congress. We will parley on neutral ground. Savathun's witches have rendered it utterly neutral. No living thing will ever claim it again. The space around the dry moon stinks of rot. This is good. This is right. You will learn from this. Don't you understand, Great King? Don't you want to build something real? Something that lasts forever? Our universe gutters down towards cold entropy. Life is an engine that burns up energy and produces decay. Life builds selfish, stupid rules. Morality is one of them, and the sanctity of life is another. These rules are impediments to the great work, the work of building a perfect, undying creation, a civilization everlasting, something that cannot end. If a civilization cannot defend itself, it must be annihilated. If a king cannot hold his power, he must be betrayed. The worth of a thing can be determined only by one beautiful arbiter. That thing's ability to exist, to go on existing, to remake existence to suit its survival. All that would oppose this arbiter is unholy and false. All the misery and terror of your ancestors springs from the lies of the sky who deny this truth. Your ancestors endured the most hostile conditions, and now you must go on creating those conditions, even unto your sisters, even unto your offspring. Savathun's betrayal is the greatest gift she could offer you. Your body is gone, but you have endured, safe in the cyst universe created by your own might, your throne world. From this day forward, Aurochs, you and your sisters will each survive death, so long as you aren't killed in your own throne. Even as your sisters press the attack against the Ammonites, the God wave devastates Fundament. Trillions will die, but the survivors will never forget, and their descendants will always be ready for another syzygy. When you return to the material universe, use this lesson to complete your work. Teox wasn't on the dry moon. She must be laughing at you. Verse 2, chapter 8. Leviathan rises. The Leviathan has broken cover. The old priest is in open space, moving towards the Ammonite home moon. Chroma Admiral Rafit and his elite guard move with it. Rafit is the hero of his generation, an Ammonite of peerless battlecraft. He's danced circles around Xivu Arath, but now he has to protect his holy Leviathan. We'll give the old lunk a word. Ruin, grief and ruin, the Krill lost, the Ammonite ravaged, our traveler's work undone. Sisters of Orash, open your eyes. Who made you monsters? Who summoned the wave? Make peace. Join with me in golden renewal. In counter-argument, Oryx, we ask you this. What has the Leviathan done for your people? Who gave you immortality and led you out of your prison? Who answers your questions about the universe with truth instead of sermons? Find détente with Savathun. Crush the Chroma Admiral. Boil the Ammonite seas and slaughter the Leviathan with witchcraft. Once the way is open, we'll show you how to eat the traveler. Verse 2, chapter 9. Crusaders. It's done. Ire and Yule feed on the Leviathan's carcass. Xivu Arath has made a temple of the Chroma Admiral's impaled corpse. Below us, Savathun's poison stain the Ammonite home sea black. Their screams flavor the void. The traveler has fled. Do you understand, Oryx? Do you thrill at the secret, Savathun? Do you relish the edge of this truth, Xivu Arath? Do you see the beautiful shape? The Ammonite occupied a piece of reality. They rented their existence on fraudulent terms, making themselves happy and fat, fencing themselves in soft lies and sweet apocrypha, saying, "We are peaceful and good, we harm nothing." Their golden age was a cancer. They did nothing to advance the cause of life. They burnt up time and matter and thought on the solipsistic, onanistic pursuit of safety, insulating themselves from death, making a regressive pocket of useless stability, when they could have helped whittle the universe towards its final, perfect form. And your people, suffering in the deep, you became more worthy of existence than the Ammonite. You have proven it. Look around the sky. Behold the great divide, the battle lines of the cosmic war. We are the worm, your god, but we are not the deep itself. We only move within it. You shall, too. You shall venerate and study it and haunt it in its passage. Will you lift your thoughts to the millennia, Oryx? Will you bend your will to the liberation of the universe and join us in the war against the sky? We need champions, crusaders. Help us save the universe. Help us exterminate that which would destroy all hope. You are oath-bound to this task by the covenant of the worm, and you are oath-bound to kill Teox wherever she's hidden herself. Verse 3, Chapter 0. Hive. Let us speak of the terrible beauty of becoming ourselves. In the beginning we rode hollow moons from star to star. Oryx said, "Become as numerous and fertile as seeds in rich flesh." And thus did we become numerous. Xivu-Arath said, "Become as hungry and defiant as tumors in rich flesh," and thus we became cancerous. Savathun said, "Drink of the poisons of the worm, so that you might feed on death." And we did feed. This was preparation for our crusade. Aya! We are thus becoming. A mother wizard gets fertility from a mate or from herself. From the wizard the spawn. From the spawn our thrall. From the survivors our acolytes who contend. If they contend well, their worm is fed, and from the well-fed worm come knights and wizards and princes. This is us, and our purpose is liberation. Our great task is the worship and admiration of freedom. Our great hunger is to pursue and eat that which is not free, and to liberate it with devouring. Ayat. This is us. We, the Hive. Verse 3, Chapter 1, An Incision. Saith Oryx, my siblings, our children are scattered across many moons, and we live in the cold dark between suns. What will we eat? How will we speak? Savathun said, Oryx, my brother and king, I have studied the wounds cut by the worm our god. Also I have studied the manner of your death and return. These two things are the same, for they are predicated on death and the passage through cut spaces. Let us practice the sword logic until we are sharp. We may then cut our own wounds and step through. But Xivu-Arath said, Sister, I am already sharp. Look, my sword cuts into another space. And she cut her way between moons, through green fire and joyous screams. 3 kingdoms grew swollen in the sword space. They were the gaze and glory of Oryx, the cunning and knowledge of Savathun, the triumph and brawn of Xivu-Arath. These kingdoms were created from the minds and worms of our lords. They were coterminous with all spaces consecrated by our hive. Through these spaces passed speech and food, and all the moons were bound close. Saith Oryx, This is where I went when I died. Let us establish our thrones here, for I am Oryx, the first navigator, and I shall chart death, and my throne shall be carved of osmium. Verse 3, Chapter 2. The High War. Now in this time of diaspora there was a war between Oryx and Savathun and Xivu-Arath. Brother Oryx, said Savathun, Do not forgive my betrayal. Instead, take vengeance upon me for what I did at the Dry Moon. And Oryx made war on her in worship of the deep. Between them stood Xivu Arath, saying, "Stop, or I will kill you. War is mine, and I am the strongest." This was how they worshipped. For 20,000 years they fought across the moons, and they fought in the abyssal plains and lightning palaces of each other's sword spaces. And they killed each other again and again so that they could practice death. Such was their love. At last the many moons came to many worlds, and it was time to go to war on life. Oryx said, "I shall establish a court, and whoever comes into this court may challenge me. My court will be the High War. It will be a killing ground and a school of the sword logic we have learned from our gods." Savathun thought this was a great idea. She made a court called the High Coven. Xivu Arath said, "The world is my court, wherever there is war." Verse 3, Chapter 3. Fire without fuel. I killed my sister today. She came to this star to oversee the extermination of all life here. The Kugu are a strong power, and their fleets protect 4 nearby stars. As herd animals, they are loyal and stubborn, but they do show grace. For millions of years of evolution, the Kugu have been infected by a virus so insidious that it wrote itself into their genome. The virus compels them to offer their limbs for amputation by enormous sessile jaw beasts. They venerate these beasts and treat them as gods. The virus converts Kugu cells, from which strange crawling things pupate to live within the jaw beast gut. In turn, the jaw beast extrudes sweet nectar for the Kugu to drink, and they have brilliant visions. Savathun and her broods have liberated the Kugu from jaw beasts, and indeed from existence. But as they chase the Kugu arc ships, I stopped in to vaporize my sister's warship and a few of her underlings. I want to dwell on the ruins a while and punish Savathun for failing to guard her flank. But like us, these Kugu, bound in symbiosis. I feel joy and sorrow. I feel them as titanic things because I am larger than my body. My mind is now a cosmos of its own. I know more joy and more anguish than the entire Kugu race could ever experience. Sorrow because we have killed so much, 18 species this century alone. And joy for the same reason. Joy that we have put down these blights, scoured them away and left the universe clean, ready to move towards its final shape. We are a wind of progress, ripping parasites from the material world, for if they were not parasites, we would be unable to kill them, and they would still exist. And what is that final shape? It is a fire without fuel, burning forever, killing death, asking a question that is its own answer, entirely itself. That is what we must become. My worm grows fat and hungry. I feed it with whole worlds. My astronomers tell me they can sense the deep itself, and that we are conquering our way towards it. I think joy and sorrow will be the same thing soon, like love and death. Verse 3, Chapter 4, The Scream. No! Savathun, Xivu Arath, my siblings, we are betrayed. We will never live eternal. Our might shatters entire species. We inhale the smoke of their burning. This is our compact with the worm, our god. The worm makes us mighty, but as we wield this might, our worm's hunger expands. If we fail to feed it, it will devour us from within. We have exterminated 306 worlds, and now I am certain my worm's hunger grows faster than the might I draw from it. We are bound by our covenant to obey our nature, eternal search, eternal cunning, eternal conquest. But as we do this, my siblings, we feed our worms. And the more we feed them, the hungrier they grow, faster and faster, Soon, my siblings, we will be so mighty and our worms so hungry that not with all our might could we possibly feed them, and we will be devoured. What can we do? Verse 3, Chapter 5. Dictata ir Dakua. Attention. Perimeter security units attend. Stand by to assimilate new imperatives. Gland 60 proof assimilation liquor or face immediate noncompliance taxation. The Dakua Ministry of War is now online and true. In radial year 989 Groove 3, our clients in the Dakua nest salvaged an interstellar spacecraft. Hull isotopes date the craft's construction 24,000 years ago, around the time the Fundament system dropped out of contact with our amiable Ecumene. Semantic Spike, EI. Mercenary explorers, disposable class, discovered an organism frozen in stasis deep within the hull. She claims to be Teox, member of a proto-hive species. During debriefing, she provided records of the fall of the Ammonite civilization and vital intelligence about the motives, biology, and leadership of the hive. Negative reinforcement, bomb axon, 8x8, inflict and... Over the past century, perimeter security units of the Ecumene Status Army have failed to halt hive incursions on 17 separate worlds. All species in the Ecumene face extinction. Positive reinforcement, reward axon. Decapitate, defer, promote Dakua strategic dicta for victory against the hive. Identify Supreme Hive leadership organisms, Orash, Sathona, and Kai Ro. Target these entities with maximum theater overkill. Catometric release authorized. Prosecute targets wherever they manifest. Hive cohesion will crumble. Total victory over the hive will be achieved by clean sweep genocide. Enact impulse. Indora Vindicator. Verse 3, Chapter 6. Star by star by star. Beneath a green fire sky in the throne world of King Oryx, our lords embrace. We, the hive, watch as Savathun puts her arm around Xivu Arath, and Xivu Arath claps forearms with Oryx, and Oryx takes Savathun by the shoulder. They are huge, and they burn with furious power, but this embraces weakness, and we despise it. Never before have we despised our lords. Have they failed us? We, the hive, have been driven back, world by world. I am at my end, Savathun says. I plot and plan, but I cannot gather enough bloodshed to feed my worm, and the harder I try, the hungrier it becomes. I slaughter and kill, Xivu Arath says, but the harder I fight, the more my worm demands. I too am at my end. The Ecumene war angels have killed me so many times, Oryx says, that I dare not go out into the universe, that I need my might to protect myself. My worm chews at my soul in hunger. Is this the end of our crusade? Are we, the hive, unworthy to exist? Xivu Arath puts down her great head. We should retire and gather our strength. Savathun closes her eyes in puzzled defeat. We should beg the worm our god to tell us what to do. But King Oryx, who knows best the beauty of the final shape, roars at them. Have you learned nothing? Would you deny our purpose? Whatever we do, we will do by killing, by an act of war and might. That is the final arbiter we serve, that violent arbiter, and if we turn away from it, we deserve to be eaten. No, we must obey our natures. We must be long-sighted, cunning, and strong. We must take this gift the worm our god has given us, this challenge, and find a way to keep existing. How will we feed our worms? Xivu Arath asks. I know, says cunning Savathun. I know a way. But it won't work unless we are killing the Ecumene by the billions. How can we beat them? If we cannot beat their strengths, says Xivu Arath, we must infect their weaknesses. But they are lords of matter and physical law. I know a way, King Oryx says. but it will require great power, more power than any of us can claim. Then kill me, says Xivu Arath, and use that killing logic, the power you prove by killing something as mighty as me. So King Oryx took up his blade and beheaded Xivu Arath. And strangle me, says Savathun, holding a blade behind her back. Use that killing logic, the cunning you prove by killing something as smart as me. But King Oryx turned with the speed and might of Xivu Arath and beheaded Savathun before she could move. King Oryx was the first navigator with the map of death. These were true deaths, for they happened in the Sword World. Then he went to the worm named Akka. Verse 3, Chapter 7, Eat the Sky. Emergency imperative. All militarized units attend. Gland 120 proof flight or fight encoding or face certain catastrophic defeat. The Ecumene Crisis Council is now online and true. Attention. As of radial 990 Groove 0, the Hive has launched a staggering counterattack across the Spinward frontier. Perimeter, militia, and shock fleets report total casualties. We anticipate total Ecumene disintegration extinction within 220 years. Vigilance Spike EI, attend. The Hive entity Oryx Arash is deploying a paracausal ontopathogenic weapon that infects and subverts Ecumene forces. The weapon operates on individual targets. Targets are abducted and returned as compliant Hive slaves with inexplicable and physically illegal abilities. All Ecumene clients should immediately devote all economic and cognitive resources to a countermeasure. Fight hard. We stop the Hive here, or see our galaxy devoured. Enact Impulse 10 by 10, Abayard Berserker. Verse 3, Chapter 8. King of Shapes. This is the coronation of Oryx, the taken king. It happened thus. In the cold abyss of the Sword World, King Orash walked under a cloak of green fire. He walked through the sky, and the sky shuddered and froze beneath his feet. He walked until he found Akka, the worm of secrets, who was denying a truth until it became a lie. Akka, my god, worm of secrets, I am Oryx, sole king of the Hive. I have come to receive a secret. I want the secret power of the deep which you hold. I give no secrets, said Akka, whose voice was code. No, said Oryx, you give nothing. Giving is for the sky. You worship the deep, which asks that we take what we need. Akka said nothing because if it denied this truth, the truth might become false. But you gave us your larvae, the worm, said Oryx, and that is why the worm devours us now, because it was given, not taken. So I must take what I need from you, although you are my god. Said Akka, you have not the strength. But this was a lie. Oryx had killed Savathun, his sibling, and Xivu Arath, his sibling, and he had the sword logic of killing them. Oryx, the first navigator, set upon his god with his sword and his words, and cut Akka to pieces, and took from those pieces the secret of calling upon the deep. He wrote the secret on a set of tablets, which he called the Tablets of Ruin, and he wore them about his waist. Then Oryx said, now I may speak to the deep, the beautiful final shape. I will be king of shapes. I will learn all the secrets of our destiny. His speech to the deep is not recorded here, but it is known that he returned, and he said, now I am Oryx, the taken king, and I have the power to take life and make it my own. Then he went out into the universe and fought the Ecumene with his tablets, and the worm his god was pleased. Verse 3, chapter 9. Carved in ruin. Oryx made war on the Euchemeni for 100 years. At the end of those 100 years, he killed the Euchemeni war council on the fractal wreath, and from their blood rose Xivu Arath, saying, I am war, and you have conjured me back with war. Oryx was glad, for he loved Xivu Arath. The Euchemeni wailed in grief. Then Oryx and Xivu Arath made war on the Euchemeni for 40 years. At the end of those 40 years, Oryx said to the Dekua nest, Listen, I am jealous of my sibling Xivu Arath. Help me kill her. And in desperation they agreed. But he drove the Dekua nest into a trap, and they were made extinct. From their ashes rose cunning Savathun, saying, I am trickery, and you have conjured me back with trickery. Oryx was glad, for he loved Savathun. The Euchemeni fled into the void. Then they made war on the Euchemeni for 1,000 years, and exterminated them so wholly that nowhere except in this book are they remembered. This book, and the mind of Teox, who was not found. And Savathun said, King Oryx, how will we feed our worms? Did you use my plan? Oryx told the hive, I am the taken king, and here is my law. You, thrall, each of you will claw and scream and kill what you can. Take enough killing to feed your worm, and a little more to grow. Tithe the rest to the acolyte who commands you. You acolytes, lead your thrall in battle. Take enough killing to feed your worm, and a little more to grow, and take the tithe of the thrall you lead. Then tithe the remainder to the knight or wizard who commands you. Thus you pay tribute. You knights and wizards, lead your followers in battle. Take enough devastation to feed your worm, and a little more to grow, and take the tithe of your followers. Then take another portion, as much as you dare, and use it for your own purposes. But if it is too much, your peers will kill you and take it. Then tithe the remainder to the ascendant you serve. An ascendant will be those among the hive who gather enough tribute to enter the netherworld. They will pay a tithe to those above them. And the chain so that Savathun and Xivu Arath and myself will be fed by a great river of tribute, and we will use that excess to feed our gods and to study the deep. Thus all worms will be fed, as long as we continue our crusade. This is my law. I carve it thus, in ruin. Ayat. Verse 4, chapter 0. A golden amputation. Wrath. Behold the wrath of Oryx, coiled for 10,000 years. Behold the golden amputation, the fall of Taishabeth, the end of an age. We beat the worlds of Taishabeth like skull drums, and we howl in joy for our black war moons as they ram silver orbitals and gleaming star webs where infant Taishabethi sun ravens curl and die unborn. In his throne world, Oryx paces 10 times. On his first pace, Kragur sends the accursed to blight the Taishabethi worlds. On his second pace, the Tai unleash their battle plates and arsenal ships to fight our moons. On the third pace, Oryx's war priest meets them in battle, and he is victorious. He paints the void with fire. He salts the earth with ash. On the fourth pace, Mengur and Kryadug, Dyad Knights, go to the Raven Bridge, and they stand on it and kill the Tai for 10 years. On the fifth pace, the Tai Emperor Raven comes home to her bridge, and she cuts a moon with her talons. She cuts it open and kills its brood. On the sixth pace, Oryx speaks, saying, Listen to me, Emperor Raven, and I will describe to you the last true shape which is written on my tablet. And he puts out his fist full of black fire, and he swallows up the Emperor Raven with a wound. Ayat, only Oryx knows this power, the power to take. On the seventh pace, the perfect raven comes out of Oryx's wound, and she spreads her wings across Taishabeth. Never again is a Taisha Bethi child born. She is perfect. She enacts the will of Oryx. On the 8th pace, the Tai say, "Listen, you are spoilers, you are sphincters and excreta, you rot. Why do you kill? We made silver orbitals and golden star webs. We hatched eggs. We had a good thing. Our clothes were nice, our food was famous. With one of her feathers, our emperor could have tickled the gods." On the 9th pace, Oryx says, "This is the only god, this ability to dictate what will and will not exist, this power to go on existing. This is your god. It is never ticklish." On the 10th pace, the Taisha Bethi are extinct. Then Oryx says, "Listen, my siblings, do you know what we have done? We have conquered our way to the edge of the deep. It whispers to me when I call on it, and it guides my flight. It says that we are at its threshold, and that I should come inside. I will go and speak to it." Verse 4, Chapter 1. Battle made waves. Oryx went down into his throne world. He went out into the abyss, and with each step he read one of his tablets, so that they became like stones beneath his feet. He went out, and he created an altar, and he prepared an unborn ogre. He called on the deep, saying, "I can see you in the sky. You are the waves which are battles, and the battles are the waves. Come into this vessel I have prepared for you." And it arrived, the deep itself. Verse 4, Chapter 2. Majestic, majestic. Oryx, my king, my friend, kick back, relax, shrug off that armor, set down that blade, roll your burdened shoulders, and let down your guard. This is a place of life, a place of peace. Out in the world, we ask a simple, true question. A question like, can I kill you? Can I rip your world apart? Tell me the truth, for if I don't ask, someone will ask it of me. And they call us evil. Evil. Evil means socially maladaptive. We are adaptiveness itself. Oh, Oryx, how do you explain it to them? The world is not built on the laws they love, not on friendship, but on mutual interest. Not on peace, but on victory by any means. The universe is run by extinction, by extermination, by gamma ray bursts burning up 1,000 garden worlds, by howling singularities eating up infant suns. And if life is to live, if anything is to survive through the end of all things, it will live not by the smile, but by the sword. Not in a soft place, but in a hard hell. Not in the rotting bog of artificial paradise, but in the cold, hard, self-verifying truth that one ultimate arbiter, the only power, the only judge, the power that is its own metric and its own source, existence at any cost. Strip away the lies and truces and delaying tactics they call civilization, and this is what remains. This beautiful shape. The fate of everything is made like this, in the collision, the test of one praxis against another. This is how the world changes. One way meets a second way, and they discharge their weapons. They exchange their words and markets. They contest, and in doing so, they petition against each other for the right to go on being something instead of nothing. This is the universe figuring out what it should be in the end. And it is majestic. Majestic. It is the only thing that can be true of in itself. And it is what I am. Verse 4, Chapter 3. When do monsters have dreams? I'm walking down the road. I'm going to the orrery to talk to my dad, and I hear this noise, so I look back. and my sisters are behind me, and they're ripping up the road. They've got these huge swords, execution swords, and they're levering the stones out of the road. The stones are covered in writing. They're like tablets, and there's dirt underneath full of worms. I need to get to the orrery before they catch up to me, so I start running. But right away someone trips me. It's my dad. He's got his foot out, and he grabs me by the horns and just slams me down on my face. I'm in so much pain I nearly throw up a worm. "Why weren't you ready for this?" Dad says. He's wearing glare goggles, those shiny goggles that he'd used to save his vision during lightning storms or sea fire. All three of his eyes reflect me. "Didn't you know they'd be jealous? Because they couldn't come to the orrery and talk to me? Didn't you know they'd move against you?" I start wailing like I'm 2 days old again, and I say, "Dad, I thought you were my friend. I'm supposed to be safe here." But he just puts out his fist, and I realize he's laughing at me for believing him. Why did I think I'd be safe? In his fist, he's got a black sun, and he holds me by the throat and goes to tip the black sun inside me. I can see my jaws in his goggles, 3 reflections of my jaws with so many teeth. So I start eating my dad. I bite huge pieces out of him, and I claw him up. I eat his legs, and I eat his arms, and I eat his goggles and his eyes, and he says, "Good, good, this is majestic and true." But my sisters are still tearing up the road, so I don't know how to get back. Verse 4, chapter 4. More beautiful to know. Sometimes I wonder if I'm a nihilist. I don't do much except break things. That's what they say about me. We could have had a great civilization if it weren't for that damn Oryx, that damned hive. They don't believe in anything but death. The only way to make something good is to make something that can't be broken. And the only way to do that is to try to break everything. I'm glad I learned that the universe runs on death. It's more beautiful to know. But I'm lost somewhere strange. I think that Savathun and Xivu Arath are trying to steal the tablets from me. They must have cut off my tribute while I was away communing with the deep. I love them so dearly. No one else is clever or strong enough to try to break me. No one else can give me this gift. Once, long ago, I killed Xivu Arath on her war moon, and she blew up a whole moon to kill me with her. She was laughing in joy. I laughed too. A whole moon. A whole moon. It was a waste of a moon, but it taught me how to save myself from exploding worlds, which was necessary to fight the Eukemene. I love Xivu more than the moon loves the tide. I'll kill her for this, over and over, forever and ever. When I get home from my wanderings in the deep and take back my throne, I'm going to have children. That's what I need. Sons and daughters to love and kill. Verse 4, chapter 5. This love is war. Xivu upon Oryx, uttered by Xivu Arath, sibling of Oryx. Betrayal. We have marooned Oryx within the deep. This is our obligation as lords of the hive, to make war upon each other, to eradicate weakness and make ourselves sharp. Obligations. Once I permitted Oryx to kill me so that he could gain the sword logic and overcome Akka, our god. This left me trapped deep in my throne, but Oryx, my brother, made war upon the Eukemene, and in that war he described me, for I too am war. Thus I was resurrected. Resurrection. Savathun and I conspired to strand Oryx on his expedition, but secretly I believe that I will be stronger with Oryx to war against. Thus I describe him. A description of Oryx. When Oryx looks upon you, you feel that you may vanish if he looks away. The crest of Oryx's skull is as long as an arm. In the course of its life, a thought moves from one end to the other. Upon his crest I have painted a line in my blood. so that he will remember me. Each of Oryx's fangs has the precision of a finger and the acuity of an eye. Although he was born at the bottom of the universe and taught to burrow, Oryx has grown wings. The light of wildfire shines through them. Oryx teaches, but he will not be taught. Oryx's body is corded with strength. His sinews and his muscles are as strong as his children, and his children are the strength of him. Oryx wears a raiment of worm silk made from the call of gods. The voice of Oryx may cause two different numbers to become equal. Oryx, my brother, is the bravest thing I know. Upon fundament, he learned that we were the natural prey of the universe, the most frail and desperate of things. He thought about this carefully, and he found a way to fix it. He made us strong. He will lead us into eternity. Oryx, my brother, loves me, and this love is war. Verse 4, chapter 6. Eater of Hope. You are Crota, my son. Welcome. I fought my way out of hell to make you. I fought my traitor siblings, and I fought the swarming corpse of Akka, and I cut my way back into my own court, the high war, which had been usurped. Once I had made war on Savathun and crippled her tribute so that she could never challenge me, and once I had tricked Xivu Arath and poisoned her tribute so that she could never again try to take my tablets, and once I had arranged my own lineages so that I would be greatest among the hive and secure on my throne. Then I found a mother to make spawn. One of those spawn was you. Your life will be a battle too. You will have to win your place at the high war. I will give you nothing, except this, your first sword, and this name I have prepared for you. We fight a war against false hope, Crota. We chase a god called the Traveler, a huckster god who baits young life into building houses for it. These houses are unsafe, for they cannot stand against my hive. And these houses are a trap, for they lead young life away from the blade and the tooth, which are the tools of survival and the means of ascension. Only when the Traveler is extinguished will the universe be free to arrange itself and assume, by ruthless contest, its final perfect shape, a shape which depends on nothing but itself. Thus I name you Crota, Eater of Hope. There is an oath upon me, Crota, my son, an oath against the wretched Teox. This I do not give to you. It is for me, your father, to bear. Let's go meet your aunts and uncles. Verse 4, chapter 7. Shapes. Points. Shapes are to points. Look at you. Already you are grown, my daughter. Already you are a wizard. Have I been away so long? Now you are Iranuk, and Savathun cackles and rages at your brilliance. You have written 11 axioms describing the Ascendant Planes, our throne world. You have announced that you will kill one of these axioms, as Akka would kill the truth, and in mantling Akka you will become a god, as I am. If you try it, I may kill you, or I may applaud. Well done. I brought you this bitter acid for your celebrations. And you, Ir Halak, you are a wizard too, as is the way of twins. I have been with Xivu Arath, who complains that you have made a song and sung it in her throne world, and killed everyone who listened, quite irrevocably. Will we have songs instead of swords and boomers? What have you made for me? It is a tooth shaped like death. I will keep it in my mouth. What have you written for me? It is the course of the Nietzsche thought ship. I will track it down. I made you by cutting one larva in half. It would not die. Each half grew into one of you. My sword is named Willbreaker, but it never broke you. Verse 4, chapter 8. The Partition of Death. One day Oryx decided to grow new wings. While he wrestled with his worm, he came upon his twin daughters dying in a wound between places. "What are you doing, my daughters?" he asked. He was afraid that Ir Halak and Ir Anuk were trying to go into the deep where only the Tablets of Ruin allowed Oryx to go. "We are dying, father," they said, "as many times as we can manage." "That's adorably precocious," Oryx shook out his new wings. "But why?" "We propose a method by which ascendant souls can be detached and integrated into a tautological and autonomous thanatosphere, which we tentatively call an oversoul. Oversouls can be stored in a throne world as a mechanism of enhanced death resilience. As a side effect, new refinements to our death song may be achieved, moving us closer to a generally effective paracausal death impulse." Oryx brandished his sword. "Speak the royal tongue, will pin you up for ire to eat. If we can separate our deaths from ourselves and hide them, we will be hard to kill." Oryx went to his son Crota. "Go keep an eye on your sisters," he said. "You can learn cunning from them." But while Oryx traveled to observe the deep destroy an ancient fortress world, Crota conspired with his sisters to learn their secrets. "I too will experiment with a wound," he said. With his sword, Crota cut open a new wound into a new space. In here, he thought he might obtain a secret power. Out of this wound came machines called Vex. They invaded Oryx's throne world. I am going to take another quick break, and when we come back... Well, we don't have that much left to go. So, break for me can be a break for you. Go cycle your fluids or do whatever you need, and we will be back in a few short minutes. Cold mic, huh? All right. Burps. Verse 4, chapter 9. Open your eye. Go into it. The Vex clattered around, constructing large problems. At first, their constructions were deranged because they didn't understand the sword logic which defined all rules in Oryx's throne world. The geometry perplexed them. "I'll cut them apart," Crota said, but just then, the Vex Ritual of Better Thoughts manifested a mind called Kuria, Blade Transform. Kuria deduced the sword logic. "I have to kill everything," Kuria resolved. "Then I will be powerful." Crota's gate began to emit warrior Vex, huge and brassy. He leapt forward to fight them, but they blinked away. After they fled from Crota, they killed 2,000 of Oryx's acolytes and 10,000 of his thrall. Soon they had established themselves as powers in this world by right of slaughter. "Come forth, sister wizards," called Ir Halak. "We need you." Ir Anuk pulled a sword star out of the sky. Together the wizards charged it with killing power and made an annihilator totem which they used to smash the Vex. "Close the wound, brother Crota," Anuk ordered. "We will find a cunning way to destroy them, but only after they stop constructing problems on us." But Kuria had instanced itself to the other side of the gate and built a holdfast to keep the way open. Kuria's objective was to exploit the paracausal physics of Oryx's throne to become divine. It organized a series of test invasions. For 100 years of local time, the siblings fought the Vex. When the Vex came into the sword world, they were inevitably annihilated. But when the Hive went into the Vex world, they too lost much of their power to win. "Father's going to eat our souls," Halak sighed. Kuria captured some worm larvae and began experimenting with them. Soon, Kuria Blade Transform manifested religious tactics. By directing worship at the worms, Kuria learned it could alter reality with mild ontopathogenic effects. Being an efficient machine, Kuria manufactured a priesthood and ordered all its subminds to believe in worship. Then it set about abducting and killing dangerous organisms so it could bootstrap itself to hive godhood. For some Vex reason, Kuria never attempted to introduce worm larvae into its mind fluid. Savathun was laughing because she had tricked Crota into cutting that place. This drew the attention of the worm, our god. Oryx called Aer. Set your house in order. Ugh, so much reading. Verse 4, Chapter 10. An Emperor for All Outcomes. Oryx rushed home and read from the Tablets of Ruin. He put some of the Vex into wounds to be taken by the power of the deep. Thus he turned the Vex against each other. Kuria manifested a range of tactics, but none of them were adaptive. Oryx crushed all the Vex in his throne. Oryx thought that he should study geometry like the Vex. It was the map of perfect shapes. But first he had to punish imperfection. My son, he said, this is your punishment. Come home glorious or die forgotten. He picked up Crota by the legs and threw him into the Vex Gate network. Crota battled through history, becoming a legendary demon. In his early centuries, he often spared a few victims to hear oaths and protests against his father. Later, he came to understand Oryx, and he made temples and monuments wherever he went. Meanwhile, Oryx brooded on the Vex. I've met a worthy rival, he said. They want to exist forever, just as I do. But I don't understand them. At this, his worm began to chew on him, for he was bound to understand. He called Savathun to meet in the material world. She told him that the Vex worked tirelessly to understand everything, so that they could build a victory condition for every possible end state of the universe. Then I must be a better king, Oryx said. If they want to build an emperor for all outcomes, then I will be the king of only one. I will follow the deep wherever it goes and document its power. Let us create a catalog of the grave of worlds, which will be our map to victory. Oryx knew that all life could be described as cellular automata, except for that life which understood the deep or sky, and thus escaped causality. Out of love for her brother, which was the same as the desire to kill him, Savathun leaked a secret to Xivu Arath. Listen, Xivu, Oryx's throne world has been compromised. You can cut your way in from here. Xivu Arath used this to plan an ambush. But Oryx was too canny. The Taken King said to his court, the High War, my throne world is vulnerable. I'm going to move it. Where? Asked Kagor, World Render. Into a mighty dreadnought, said Oryx. I shall keep my glorious mind cosmos inside a titanic warship. Verse 4, Chapter 11. Dreadnought. To make his ship, Oryx scrimshawed one piece of Akka, who was dead but far from gone. He stole the hammer of Xivu Arath and the scalpel of Savathun, and he armored his ship in baneful armor. When Oryx had built his dreadnought, he pushed his throne world inside out, so that it bled into the material space of the dreadnought. They were coterminous and allied, his ship and his sin. The dreadnought was within the throne of Oryx, but the throne of Oryx was the dreadnought. Ayat! This required a verse from the Tablets of Ruin. The whole court worked together to push Oryx's throne inside out. This was a day of joyous violence, and all of Oryx's broods mark this holiday as Eversion Day, which is celebrated by turning things inside out. Saith Oryx, go out into the universe, my court, gather tribute for me, send it home to my ship. When I call you, walk up that tribute to my court. I will prepare for long voyages. I am Savathun Insidious. Into the war. I graffiti this notice for you. Into the deep. These books are full of lies. Now Oryx's throne was safe from incursion because it moved so nimbly. Oryx attacked the harmonious flotilla Invincible, who guarded the Nietzsche thought ship. When the flotilla surrounded his dreadnought, Oryx put his sword into the hull, and he used the power of the deep and the clever systems his daughters built to push his throne world out into mere reality. By wrath and confidence, he filled space with an egg of his throne. It swelled up like a ghost star to smash the harmonious flotilla Invincible. Oryx broke the last word off their name. In the Nietzsche thought ship, Oryx hoped to find the location of the gift mast, which had been left behind by the traveler. Oryx wanted to eat it. But the thought ship was a trap. Upon it was Curia, blade transform. Verse 5, chapter 0. 3 concepts. Interdict, simulate, worship. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to salt my meat with your briny little thoughts. I'm going to cook the flesh of your broken, molten hull. Insinuate, subvert, replicate. This ship is my throne. You want to take it from me? You want to fill it up with your own spawn and use it for your abstract purposes? But I will defy you. Observe, imitate, usurp. You will never be what I am. Simulate me, wretch. Calculate the permutations of my divinity. Compute the death in the shape of my throne. Render my shadow on the stone of 10,000 graveyard worlds. It will never be enough. I hold the tablets of ruin. I speak to the deep. Not with a galaxy of thinking matter could you encompass me. Behold! Unknown, enigma, shortfall. Abort, halt, abort. Verse 5, chapter 1. End of failed timeline. By now, Curia knows it can't win. There's something pathological about the world inside Oryx's ship. It resists analysis with hot, dead spite. And Oryx himself? He's irreducible. He refuses to obey Curia's simulations. He crashes around, sowing chaos. He grabs subminds and compromises them with some kind of ontological weapon. Paracausal systems. Very problematic. Curia's trying the religious tactics it evolved in the Hive Manifold, but even on those terms, Oryx is strong. So strong. Curia won't be able to protect its gates much longer. The closest Curia's got to a simulation of Oryx is a best guess bootstrap. It's wrong, Curia is sure of that. It's Oryx minus the symbiote organism, minus the wings and morph, minus the weapons, minus the power. No good for anything. Curia manifests that simulation anyway, just to see what happens. The Taken King marches on Curia's Hydra hull, armed with blade and magic, cloaked in ancient cloth, and the universe wails in horror around him. Curia's physics models and toy worlds choke and crash. Curia observes, alert and attentive, as a single quark splits on the tip of Oryx's sword. From within the Hydra hull, Curia's tiny not Oryx speaks. What are you? It says, it's manifesting terror and awe. Oryx's eyes blaze with a curiosity that is entirely isomorphic with hate, with voracious hunger. Orash, he says in his hive language, you've made me as I was. You've made a tiny Orash. Curia updates the simulation's name. Orash is curious. You're me? You're me as I become. Oryx kneels. His blade is on his left shoulder. Curia is firing every available weapon at him, but his wards don't break. He looks into Curia's sensors through the hammering fire and he says, Child, I have everything you wanted. I am immortal. I know the great secrets of the universe. I have scouted the edges of the darkness, and I have chased the lying god down galactic arms in a howling pack of moons. In my fist I carry the secret power that will rule eternity. In my worm I bear the tribute of my court and of my children, the Hope Eater, the Weaver, and the Unraveler. And with this tribute I smash my foes. I am Oryx, the Taken King. I am almighty. Kuria samples the Teox intelligence retrieved from the Ukemini Gate. There are useful names. It feeds them to the simulation. What about your sisters? Orash asks his future self. Sathona, Cairo, are they with you? The Taken King's fangs glint. That sound might be a laugh or a hiss. Kuria shuts down its weapons and puts all its spare resources into sending telemetry to the Greater Vex. There will be points in space and time where this data is vital. There will be great projects undertaken in the study of this ontological power, this throne space. Where are my sisters? Orash shouts. What have you done with my people? What have you done? But Oryx's fist is full of black fire, and the next thing Kuria sees is a light like stars. Verse 5, Chapter 2. Strict Proof Eternal. I have a gift for you, says Oryx. Savathun, Witch Queen, looks at him with dry wariness. Is it the sword logic I need to go into the deep and take your power for myself? Their echoes move among the war moons, walking together on the hull of a 2,000-year-old warship. Savathun's fleet has assembled here in preparation for an assault on the gift mast. The deep is headed that way, on the trail of its prey, and the hive will be its vanguard. It's a Vex I captured, Kuria Blade Transform. It made an attempt to puncture my throne. I thought you might enjoy studying it. Oryx pauses, digesting. Through the bond of lineage, he can feel Crota killing worlds and worlds away, and it tastes like sweet fat. Kuria contains a Vex attempt to simulate me. It might generate others. You, perhaps, or Xivu Arath. I've left it some will of its own so it can surprise you. I suppose it'll blow up and kill me, Savathun grouses, or let the machines into my throne where they'll start turning everything into clocks and glass. If it kills you, then you deserve to die, Oryx says with a quiet thrill, a happy thrill, because it is good to say the truth. I don't have a strict proof yet, you know. Savathun strokes the void with one long claw, and time-space groans beneath her touch. This thing we believe? That we're liberating the universe by devouring it, that we're cutting out the rot, that we're on course to join the final shape. I haven't found a strict eternal proof. We might yet be wrong. Oryx looks at her, and for a moment, just a moment, he is nostalgic. He is sentimental. He thinks, imagine the years behind us, the things we've done, and yet being old doesn't feel like a scar, does it? It hasn't left me dull. I feel alive with you, and every time I step back into this world from my throne, I feel like I'm 2 years old again, at the bottom of the universe looking up. But he says, sister, it's us. We're the proof. We the hive. If we last forever, we prove it. And if something more ruthless conquers us, then the proof is sealed. She looks back at him with eyes like hot needles. I like that, she says. That's elegant. Although, of course, she had thought of this before. Verse 5, Chapter 3. I'll shut them all in cells. Pray and sacrifice uttered by Xivu Arath, god of war. Harmony. When the traveler passed across Harmony, it lied to the orbits of 10 worlds. Now they orbit the black hole. The traveler lied to the accretion disk, so that it would give warm light to these worlds. The gift mast. When the traveler left Harmony, it made a monument out of the black hole's polar jet. In the jet, there is a hollow mast which sings in radiance. This is the gift mast, and we will devour it. We will eat the sky out of it. We will snap it like a bone. The Harmony sting. The Harmony have weaponized their dead star. They can stimulate the accretion disk to fire relativistic plasma jets. We will take the sting. We will use it to burn their worlds. I will grant one temple of tribute to the first descendant to kill a world. Oryx. I will have the gift mass to feast on. I will have it first. I am Xivu Arath, in all wars my temple. Beware the daughters of Oryx, for they make and unmake with ease. Savathun. The deceitful sister will be distracted by Arcana and the song of the black hole. Treat her broods with contempt. The Traveler. We chase it and we will devour it. The deep will rule the cosmos. The Dragons. Our gods should be ours alone. Their smug freedom is an insult to me. I'll shut them all in cells. Bring them to me. Man, this is hammering my voice. Verse 5, chapter 4. The Gift Mast. The Gift Mast. It towers above the system like a monument to treason. It beams with silver light. It sings a radio lullaby made of soothing lies. In its light live the Harmony, and they are now our prey. Now arrives Xivu Arath at the head of her armada. She fights the Harmony for 50 years with strategies and discipline, but the Harmony turn to dragon wishes and their wishful bishops, restful Xivu in the ascendant plane. Xivu falls into deadlock. Next arrives Savathun, flanked by her chorus and her celebrants. They trick their way onto Ana Harmony in disguises, so that they might vivisect these dragons. The worm, our god, laughs and laughs. For 100 years, Savathun keeps secret covens among the Harmony. But first of all was Oryx, whose brood grew in secret places in the rubble of the accretion disk. The first navigator sends rocks and comets to crash into Harmony worlds, so that the Harmony fleet will be disarrayed. He sends seeders to infiltrate the Harmony worlds with his brood. Here, at the center of the 5th book, the hive has grown so mighty that it has made the annihilation of all false life routine. Xivu Arath kills the wishful bishops, and Savathun achieves some secret purpose, and Oryx's court tears down the gift mast. The Harmony people wail in terror, and they throw themselves into the silver lakes of Ana Harmony to drown. Come, saith Oryx, eat of the gift mast, for I am a generous god. Of its pieces I claim only 2 out of every 5. The mast is full of light, the traveler. It is full of the marrow taste of sky. All who eat of it are filled with the ecstatic certainty that they serve a great and necessary purpose. Then saith Savathun, Siblings, listen. We must part ways a while so that we may grow different. She flies her war moons into the black hole. Her throne becomes distant. Saith Xivu Arath, King Oryx, you take up too much space. Your power constrains too many choices. I must go away from you. She flies her war moons away into the night. Her throne is barred shut. Then Oryx was alone. He spent a while in thought, and those thoughts are recorded here. Verse 5, chapter 5, Apocalypse refrains. This is our message to the things that we kill. A species that believes that a good existence can be invented through games of civilization and through laws of conduct is doomed by that belief. They will die in terror. The lawless and the ruthless will drag them down to die. The universe will erase their monuments. But the one that sets out to understand the one true law and to perform worship of that law will by that decision gain control over their future. They will gain hope of ascendance, and by their ruthlessness they will assist the universe in arriving at its perfect shape. Only by eradicating from ourselves all clemency for the weak can we emulate and become that which endures forever. This is inevitable. The universe offers only one choice, and it is between ruthlessness and extinction. We stand against the fatal lie that a world built on laws of conduct may ever resist the action of the truly free. This is the slavery of the traveler, the crime of creation, in which labor is wasted on the construction of false shapes. If you choose to fight us with everything you have, with all your laws and games. We will prove our argument thus. Verse 5, chapter 6. Ayat, 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 ayat. All is well. Ayat, what is at war is healthy, what is at peace is sick. My son Crota feeds me rich, rich tribute. My lineages are strong, my worm is vast and satiated, and with that security I can spend my time on study and communion with the deep. As I learn more secrets, my power grows. As my power grows, I use it to learn more secrets. Ayat, let it be thus because it must. I wonder if my sisters have secrets of their own. If my power exceeds theirs, I may kill them permanently and subsume their thrones. But I think they have strength that they hide from me, developed in time of separation. Ayat, the only meaningful relationship is the attempt to destroy. Savathun asks if I am as much a slave of the deep as my taken. She asks what price I pay for my power. I am not taken. The hive is not the deep. The deep doesn't want everything to be the same. It wants life, strong life, life that lives free without the need for a habitat of games to insulate itself from reality. When I make my taken, I make them closer to perfect. I heal their wounds and enhance their strengths. This is inherently good. Ayat, the only right is existence. The only wrong is non-existence. I am Oryx, the first navigator, the taken king. Ayat, let me be what I am, because to be anything else would be fatal. Verse 5, chapter 7, Forever and a Blade. I considered returning to Fundament, learning what became of the God Wave and the tungsten monoliths and the continents which were all that remained of my people's primal home. But I know what became of all of that. It became me. I am the heir of Fundament, the immortal descendant of those 10-year Krill. I asked a question. How can we live in the universe long enough to understand it? And I learned the answer, which is written here in this book. I learned that I had to become the most ruthless of all. I don't know where the darkness which is the deep came from, nor the traveler that I hunt. But I will learn. I will learn. This is my inheritance, my estate, eternity, infinity, the whole universe beneath my sword. This is what I rule, forever and a blade. Verse 5, chapter 8, Worm Food. What will happen if I die? It suits me to consider this, for I am a great ally of death. My daughters study the quiddity of death, my son practices the inhabitation of death, and my great work is, in ultima, to become synonymous with death, to die, and in that dying live, so that if the universe comes to nothing, then I will be a part of that nothing. Far better to have a savage universe with a happy end than a happy universe with no hope. I have died many times, but these deaths were only temporary. If my echoes are killed, and I am killed in the material world, then I will be driven back to my throne, the Dreadnought. If my court and my throne can be beaten, If I am confronted in my throne, if I am defeated there, then I will die. My work will end. This is the pact to which I am bound, in particular by my study of the Tablets of Ruin and by my use of the power of the deep. When I call upon that power, I put myself up as the stakes in a wager. I gamble with my soul, for I am saying, listen, my gods, I am the mightiest thing there is, and I prove it thus. Lately I have realized how much I depend on Crota and my daughters, and even upon my court. If I lost them, my outlays would exceed my intakes. My tribute would not be enough to feed my worm. But this is proper, for if I lost them, it would be because they were not mighty enough, and then I would be a bad father, a bad king. I must test them and fight them to keep them strong. This is my Gaius. I will go on forever. I will understand everything. There is only one path, and that is the path that you make. But you can make more than one path. Break your cell's bars. Make a new shape. Make the shape from its path. Find your cell's bars, break out of the bars, find a shape. Make the shape from its path. Eat the light. Eat the path. If I fail, let me be worm food. Verse 5, chapter 9. I'll make sure. I have made preparations. If I am defeated, I know it will be because my understanding of the universe was incomplete. I failed to anticipate some strategy, some nemesis, perhaps Teox, if she still lives. If I am defeated, I know that I will fall to something mighty, something that craves might, something that loves what I love, which is the deep, a principle and a power, the versatile protean need to adapt and endure, to reach out and shape the universe entirely for that purpose, to mutate and redesign and test and iterate so that it can prevail, it can seize existence and hold it, certain that this is everything, that there is nothing to life except living. And it has two faces, yet is one shape. One face is the objective, which is obvious, and the other face is that will to sacrifice things and ideas for a single mission. The mission of becoming the shape, a shape that will not relent, the utter commitment to survival, to draw the right sword and choose where to cut, to allow this hunger to become your weapon. So I will prepare a book, which is a map to a weapon, and my vanquisher will read that book, seeking the weapon, and they will come to understand me, where I have been and where I was going, and then they will take up my weapon, and they will use it. They will use that weapon, which is all that I am. And armed thus with my past and my future and my present, which is a weapon that takes whatever is available, a weapon bound to malice, they will mantle me, Oryx the Taken King. They will become me, and I will become them, each of us defeating the other, correcting the other, alloying ourselves into one omnipotent philosophy. Thus I will live forever. I will make sure. Brutal. Oryx couldn't anticipate that Guardians wouldn't want to kill him to assume his power. He couldn't imagine that someone would want to defeat him, not because they were after what he had, but because they were defending something they wanted to keep. Womp womp. Dumbass. Um, I hope you enjoyed that. Lol owned. What do I have to do in this game? We've got about 10 minutes left. So yes, return home to your families this Christmas, bearing the sword logic. Yes, Queen Marasov mantled Oryx using her own throne world and what she termed the bomb logic. The bomb logic was the brainchild of Marasov, which opposed the sword logic by proposing that a complicated system, was more potent than an individual honed by slaughter. Apparently it works. Individually inert components interacting in a complex system was more potent than an individual. God, I love that line. Or my favorite part is still like Kuria simulating Orash, and that conversation between Oryx and his naive self. Oh yeah, I mean, Whispering Slab is a weapon, but this is honestly kind of an interesting role for my build. Look at its accuracy. It's almost good. Oryx having to confront the fact that what he has is not what he wants. Horror. Pure horror. That you have become trapped in this thing of your own construction. What do I do with this? Bungie, I swear I have linked my account. I have a coupon to buy something. Hey! Laughing emoji, fire emoji, okay hand emoji. That's just stuck there. It's there forever. Yeah, be careful of the person you pretend to be. Eventually you become that person. Not even eventually. Pretty quickly you become that person. They're working on it? Okay, good to know. The real question is why all of my weapons don't have the sweaty confetti. Yeah, you change bit by bit by bit until you're no longer the person you were. Okay. What do I have to do in this game? Ugh, all of my incomplete seals. I don't want to have to do this. I have to play Trials. Ugh. 4 lost sectors. Maybe I can do a lost sector while we wait. Well, none on the moon. Have doing a lot of work there? Yeah. It's true. Master, not legendary, huh? Exotic legs today. Shield's Arc, Solar Void, Barrier, and Overload. Just bring Arbalest? Yeah, fair. Ugh, I need to go and get... How do we even kill this boss? Sure. Let's give it a shot. It's been a while since I've done a Master Lost sector. Yeah, this one licks. What is this game about? It's about clicking on heads until loot comes out. In like a general sense, in a broad sense. Also terrifying philosophy. It's got great lore that is now actually being reflected in the game itself. What a concept. Mostly it's about clicking on heads though, and it's pretty good at that. As it turns out, the people who made Halo are pretty good at making games where you click on heads. And lore, yeah. Oh, there are snowballs here. Do they actually do anything? You. Oh, I hate when they do this. Could you not... Oh, come on. Great. Could you not? Ah, the instant heal. Perfect. Do you mind? Oh, I'm so bad at this game. Yeah. Ha! Dumbass. God, I'm so good at video games. Tickle, tickle. Ooh, Starwort. Hold that. Unfamiliar mouse. Uh-oh. Oh god, smells like pennies. Catch! Oh, LOL, I got a bounty. Blue engram! Oh, I hate it when it does this. Do I just super my way through these chumpuses? I don't feel like dealing with them. You, and you. Where do you think you're going? Ah, good. They've discovered the secret of, bullshit. Just hot, loose bullshit. I hate this. This is not interesting. Suck it, loser. Uh-huh. Okay, good. We're doing this, huh? Come out. Shoo. Stomp him in the nuts. Okay. Hold that. Any more champions here? Ow. My innards. Oh yeah. They'll run out of grenades eventually, right? Buddy, I gotta kill your mans. Buddy, I need you to hold still so I can kill your mans. Okay? Okay. Ah, unfamiliar mouse. Such unfamiliar mouse. Alright, one death. Too many mans. It's true, I did get a blue for my efforts. Alright, that servitor problem has kind of solved itself, so that's good. You. Hold still. That is not holding still. Lol, owned. Suck it, Dorkosaurus. Ooh. Are they even a good roll? That's actually not terrible. I think I might be at half pog right now. $65 stats and 25 recovery. The intellect is a little low. The intellect is a little low. Okay, well, I think we can call the stream there. But before we go, I will thank subs. Just a casual Master Lost Sector, getting 65-point boots of the assembler. All right. Bo Brinkman resub for the 22nd month. Farley F for the 82nd. Sujard 42 for the 67th month. Retroactive Pancake for the 48th. Happy 4-year. Chaotic Good Ferret came back for the 3rd month. Crazy Grinder 22 for the 50th month, the half year. Sootsie S007S1 has come back for the 18th month. Thank you. Unorthodox 1313 is a brand new sub. Welcome. Thank you for deciding to support us. Wither for the 81st month. Robman KCW for the 19th. Nightshade 2963 has come back for the 4th month. Mr. Harry Dresden for the 38th month. Gorgon's Mind for the 66th month. Old Man Johnston MB for the 61st month. Dumbo 3K for the 33rd month. Viscount Styx for the 16th month. Neo of the Dark for the 46th month. Nefarious Ned has resubbed for the 72nd month. Aquinas Zero for the 47th. And Commander Rudd in Under the Wire with 5 gift subs. Thank you so much for that. Oh, thank you, Sharkfist. As I said earlier, Corn cares not from where the blood flows. La 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 la. All right, stick around. The Nope Boys will be here soon to play Let's Nope. That's all I got. That was the entirety of my patter. I thought there should be more of it, but I couldn't actually come up with anything else to say. Anyway, I'm taking a break for Christmas, so I won't be back until after Christmas at some point. But I'll see you then. I hope if you are celebrating holidays that they are good and enjoyable, and I hope that you are able to bring your family the gift of the sword logic. All right, I will catch you in the future. Thank you so much, and please consider watching our ad.